The soft blue glow of monitor screens lit up Olivia Reeves' face as she sat alone in the communications center of New Horizon Colony. The midnight shift was always quiet, just how she liked it. 200 years of peaceful expansion across the stars had made these monitoring sessions routine, almost boring. Almost. Olivia sipped her coffee and adjusted her headset. New Horizon sat at the edge of human space, 12 light years from Earth. The colony was young, just 15 years old, but thriving, with nearly 30,000 settlers calling it home. Her fingers danced across the control panel, checking signal strengths from the 11 other human colonies. Green lights blinked back at her, all normal. She leaned back in her chair and looked through the ceiling-high windows at the 3 moons hanging in the night sky. The computer chimed. Olivia sat up straight. An unscheduled transmission was coming in from deep space, well beyond any human settlement. She tapped commands into her console, trying to clean up the signal. "That's not possible," she whispered. The transmission carried the signature of a human vessel, but the ship identification code belonged to the USS Vanguard, a vessel lost during humanity's early explorations 80 years ago. Static crackled. Through her headphones, then a broken voice. "USS Vanguard to any Earth forces. Under attack by unknown. No survivors. Approach vector. Earth needs to know." The message cut off. Olivia's hands trembled as she replayed the recording. The voice was filled with terror. The transmission date stamp confirmed her fears. This message was from 80 years ago, only now reaching New Horizon after traveling across vast distances. She hesitated only a moment before making a copy of the recording. Protocol required her to alert colonial security immediately, but something about the message made her pause. There was something else in the recording, something hidden beneath the words. By morning, the colony was buzzing with rumors. Olivia had followed protocol, submitting the recording to her superiors. Now she walked through the central plaza, trying to ignore the worried faces around her. Military personnel moved with purpose between buildings, a rare sight in the peaceful colony. "Olivia!" A deep voice called from behind. She turned to see Frank Donovan approaching. His white hair and lined face showed his age, but he moved with the purpose of a much younger man. Before retiring to New Horizon, he had been an admiral in Earth's defense forces. Now he taught history at the colony school. "Admiral," she said, nodding respectfully. "Just Frank now," he corrected her. "Walk with me?" They strolled to a quiet corner of the plaza, away from curious ears. "They're calling an emergency council meeting," Frank said quietly. "But I need to know what was in that transmission, the real message." Olivia stared at him, surprised. "How did you—" "I served 60 years in the fleet," he said. "I know when information is being kept from the public." She looked around before speaking. There was something else in the signal, a code sequence buried in the carrier wave. I couldn't make sense of it. Frank's face grew pale. "Numbers and letters, beginning with Atlas Omega?" "Yes," she whispered. "How did you know?" The old admiral sat heavily on a nearby bench. "Because it's an activation code from the old wars, before the peace." "Activation for what?" Frank looked up at the sky. "For something that should never wake up again." Later that day, Olivia managed to get Frank access to the communications center. The colonial governor and military officials were still debating what to do about the message, but Frank had convinced Olivia that they couldn't wait. "The full recording," Frank demanded once they were alone in the room. Olivia played it for him, including the hidden code sequence that only older military systems would have detected. Frank listened with closed eyes, his face growing more troubled. With each passing second, "They found us," he whispered when it finished. "After all these years." "Who found us?" Olivia asked. "We never knew their name," Frank said. "During the early explorations before the colonies, 3 ships vanished in the same region of space. The Vanguard was sent to investigate. It never returned." He took a deep breath. "What you found is the warning we never received." Frank accessed the console with his old military codes, which surprisingly still worked. His fingers moved with certainty. As he brought up star charts from the direction of the transmission, "The attack happened here," he said, pointing to a star system 80 light-years away. "If they followed the Vanguard's final trajectory." The star map showed a direct path toward human space. "We need to tell everyone," Olivia said. "The Council won't act fast enough," Frank replied. "There's a reason that activation code was in the message. Captain Bradley of the Vanguard knew what humanity might face. He activated the only thing that could save us." "What are you talking about?" Olivia demanded. "The Titan Initiative," Frank said quietly. "Earth's final defense. A weapon system so powerful it was never supposed to be used. We built only one before the peace treaties banned such technology." Frank's shoulders slumped. "By sending that code, the Vanguard has awakened the Atlas." On Earth, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, warning lights flashed throughout an underwater facility that had been quiet for over a century. The Museum of Peace. They called it now, a monument to war machines that would never be used again. Commander Diana Wells rushed through the corridors, alarms blaring around her. 15 years she had served as curator of this underwater tomb, never expecting the systems to activate. "Status report," she shouted as she entered the central command room. "Ma'am, the Atlas is initiating startup protocols," a young technician said, his face pale with shock. "We can't stop it." "Override the system," Diana ordered. "We've tried. The activation code is primary directive level. It's responding to a threat assessment we can't access." Diana stared at the massive chamber beyond the control room window. Lights were coming on, illuminating the enormous shape that had rested there for generations. The Atlas, part warship, part fortress, fully autonomous, was stirring from its long sleep. The largest screen in the command center flickered to life, displaying a message. "Atlas Defense System online. Threat level, critical primary directive. Defend humanity activation code. Authenticated awakening sequence initiated, my God," Diana whispered. "It's really happening." The ground trembled beneath their feet as ancient machinery groaned to life. Massive hatches in the chamber ceiling began to open, revealing the night sky and the stars above the Pacific. At the same moment, in observatories, across Earth and the colonies, scientists noticed strange readings from the edge of monitored space. Multiple objects moving at impossible speeds with no recognizable energy signatures. On New Horizon, Olivia and Frank stepped outside to watch the emergency ships preparing for departure. Colony officials had finally acknowledged the threat, but precious time had been lost. "Will we be ready?" Olivia asked. Frank looked up at the stars where somewhere far away, humanity's forgotten guardians and unknown enemies were awakening. "No," he said honestly. "But the Atlas will be." Commander Diana Wells had never seen the Atlas fully illuminated before. For 15 years she had walked past the sleeping giant during her inspection rounds, seeing only its massive outline in the dim emergency lighting. Now, as power surged, through the underwater facility she finally witnessed the true scale of humanity's last war machine. The Atlas rose nearly 300 meters from floor to ceiling, its dark metal skin reflecting the bright lights now flooding the chamber. It wasn't simply a ship or a weapon, it was both and more. The front section resembled a warship's prow, while the central body expanded into a fortress-like structure housing weapon systems that had been banned for over a century. "Commander, you need to see this," called Lieutenant Ben Harper from his console. The young officer had been with the facility for only 2 years. Until today, he had treated his posting as ceremonial. A quiet assignment watching over relics that would never be used. Diana crossed the command center and leaned over his shoulder. On the screen, a schematic of the Atlas displayed dozens of systems activating in sequence. "It's running full diagnostics," she said. "Weapons, shields, engines, everything. But why now?" Ben asked. "What triggered this?" Diana didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked to a secure terminal in the corner of the room and pressed her palm against the scanner. The screen lit up, showing a classified message that had reached Earth just hours ago, a message containing the Atlas activation code, forwarded from New Horizon Colony. "An SOS," she said finally, "from 80 years in the past." A deep mechanical groan echoed through the facility, as massive hydraulic arms released the Atlas from its support cradle. The tremors grew stronger, forcing several technicians to grab onto consoles for balance. "Ma'am, the chamber ceiling is fully open," reported another officer. "But the Atlas can't leave without flooding the entire facility." Diana nodded. "It was designed that way. A failsafe." She turned to address the room. "Evacuation Protocol Alpha. All personnel to the surface shuttles immediately." As alarms blared throughout the facility, Diana didn't move toward the exits. Instead, she walked closer to the observation window, staring at the awakening giant. The Atlas was never meant to be controlled remotely. Its creators, fearing the system might be hacked or commandeered, had built in the requirement for human presence. At least one authorized officer needed to be aboard during its operation. A voice spoke from the ceiling speakers, artificial but with a distinctly human quality. "Commander Wells, your presence is required aboard. Please proceed to entry point 9. Ben stopped by the door. "Commander?" "Go," Diana ordered. "Get everyone to safety. I have to do this." "Do what?" Ben asked, though his expression showed he already knew. "Someone has to ride along," Diana said. "It's how the Atlas was designed." 10 minutes later, Diana stood alone in a narrow walkway extending from the command center to the Atlas's side. The bridge hummed with power beneath her feet as she approached. A small entry hatch that had opened in the war machine's hull. She had trained for this scenario, though no one ever expected it to happen. The Atlas was a monument, not an active weapon. But now, as she stepped through the hatch, Diana felt as though she was stepping into humanity's violent past. The interior lights activated as she entered, revealing a command center far more advanced than the monitoring facility she had just left. Despite being over 100 years old, the technology looked new, preserved in its dormant state. "Welcome, Commander Wells," said the same voice from before. A holographic interface appeared in the center of the room, showing a human-like face, composed of flowing blue light. "I am Strategic Defense Intelligence Primary Control System of the Atlas Project." "You know who I am," Diana said, not quite a question. "I have maintained awareness of facility personnel since my construction, though in low-power mode I have observed." Diana took a seat in what was clearly the commander's chair. "Tell me why you've activated." "The Vanguard's distress signal contains specific threat markers that trigger my primary protocols," the AI explained. "Captain Bradley of the Vanguard encountered a hostile force capable of overwhelming all standard human defenses. His final act was to encode what information he had gathered and transmit the Atlas activation sequence." Screens around the command center lit up, showing star charts and projected courses. One line extended from a distant point, moving steadily toward human-occupied space. "The threat is real and approaching," the AI continued. "I calculate their arrival at the outermost human colony within 72 hours. "New Horizon," Diana whispered. "Correct. We must intercept." As the AI spoke, the entire structure of the Atlas vibrated. "Prepare for departure, Commander." Meanwhile, on New Horizon, panic spread through the colony as news of the approaching threat became public. The colony's small fleet of ships was being prepared for evacuation, but they could only carry a fraction of the population at once. Olivia Reeves found herself drafted into the emergency response team due to her communications expertise. She worked tirelessly at the colony's command center, coordinating with ships and helping prioritize evacuation lists. Frank Donovan had taken charge of defensive preparations, though he knew they were woefully inadequate against what was coming. His military experience made him valuable despite his age. "We've lost contact with Outpost 7, Olivia reported, looking up from her console. The small research station orbited the system's outer gas giant, serving as an early warning post. Frank nodded grimly. "They're here." Colony Governor Paul Martinez entered the command center, his face showing the strain of the past 24 hours. "Admiral Donovan, is there any word from Earth?" "Not yet," Frank replied. "But they received our transmission. Help will come." "Will it come in time?" the governor asked. Before Frank could answer, Olivia interrupted. "Sir, We're detecting massive water displacement in Earth's Pacific Ocean. Something enormous just launched from the seafloor. On Earth, the Atlas rose from its century-long resting place. Seawater cascaded from its massive form as it broke the surface, causing tsunamis to radiate outward. Emergency systems had already evacuated coastal regions, preventing casualties. The enormous war machine hovered above the waves, water still streaming from its hull as propulsion systems fully engaged. It was like nothing seen in human space. For generations, a reminder of why such weapons had been banned. Inside the command center, Diana felt surprisingly calm as the Atlas ascended through Earth's atmosphere. The inertial dampening systems were flawless. She felt no movement despite their incredible speed. Course set for New Horizon Colony, the AI announced, engaging faster than light drive in 30 seconds. Diana watched on the screens as Earth grew smaller behind them. How long until we reach New Horizon? 22 hours at maximum speed, the AI replied. I am transmitting defense protocols to all human colonies. They must prepare. As the Atlas vanished into FTL speed, leaving the Sol system behind, the residents of New Horizon saw their first glimpse of the enemy. 3 advanced scout ships entered the system, their organic-looking hulls absorbing rather than reflecting light. Frank stared at the grainy images from the colony's telescopes. So it begins, he said quietly. The war that humanity had spent 2 centuries trying to forget had finally found them again. The people of New Horizon watched the night sky with growing fear. 3 alien scout ships had entered their system 6 hours ago and now hung in orbit around their planet like dark shadows. No communications had been attempted, no demands made. They simply watched and waited. Olivia Reeves hadn't slept in over 30 hours. Her eyes burned as she stared at the colony's communications array, monitoring all frequencies for any alien transmissions. So far, there had been only silence. You need rest, Frank Donovan said, placing a cup of coffee beside her console. Can't, she replied, taking the cup gratefully. The first evacuation ships are launching in 2 hours. I need to coordinate their jump paths. Frank looked at the main screen showing the evacuation plan. Only a quarter of the colony's population would fit in the first wave of ships. The rest would have to wait for the vessels to return, if they could return. The aliens haven't made any aggressive moves yet, he said. That's something at least. As if to mock his words, alarms suddenly blared throughout the command center. The main screen shifted to show one of the alien ships breaking orbit, descending toward the planet's surface. They're coming down 20 miles north of the city, called out one of the operators. Right where the farming outpost is. Governor Martinez rushed into the room. Are the defense batteries ready? As ready as they can be, Frank replied. But we never designed them to fight something like this. The colony had 4 anti-asteroid defense cannons, repurposed now as their only significant weapons. Frank had spent the last day training civilians to operate them, but he harbored no illusions about their effectiveness against whatever was coming. Launch the evacuation ships now, the governor ordered. We can't wait any longer. On the screen, they watched as the alien vessel, shaped like a jagged black teardrop, landed near the farming outpost where 30 colonists lived. The feed came from a drone that Frank had dispatched to observe. What are they doing? Olivia whispered. The answer came moments later. Dark shapes emerged from the ship, creatures that moved with unnatural speed across the landscape toward the outpost. They appeared almost humanoid, but with elongated limbs and glistening skin that reflected no light. Warn the outpost, the governor shouted. Already tried, Olivia said. Their communications are down. They watched in horror as the aliens reached the outpost's main building. There was no resistance, no fighting that they could see, just the creatures swarming over the structure like insects. Within minutes, the entire building began to change, its surfaces darkening as if being consumed from within. They're not just attacking, Frank said quietly. They're consuming, converting. Within an hour, the farm outpost was unrecognizable, transformed. into a twisted structure of the same black material as the alien ship. And the dark work was spreading, creeping across the landscape toward other settlements. "Move up the evacuation," the governor said, his voice shaking. "We need everyone at the spaceport now." While New Horizon faced its first direct contact with the alien threat, Commander Diana Wells was deep in study aboard the Atlas. The War Machine's AI had opened its extensive knowledge banks to her, sharing everything it knew about combat tactics and weapon systems. The design philosophy behind the Atlas was to create not just a weapon, but a knowledge repository, the AI explained as Diana scrolled through tactical simulations. If humanity faced extinction, the Atlas would preserve not just lives, but the wisdom needed to rebuild. Diana nodded, absorbing the information as quickly as she could. "How much longer until we reach New Horizon?" 14 hours at current speed, the AI replied. "However, I am detecting unusual energy signatures ahead. The space between stars is not as empty as it should be." On the main view screen, long-range sensors showed disturbances in the void between them and New Horizon. Ripples in space where nothing should be able to create such effects. The enemy has technology that allows them to exist partially in normal space and partially in another dimension, the AI continued. This explains how they can travel at such speeds without conventional drives. "Can we still get through?" Diana asked. "Yes, but we may encounter resistance before reaching the colony." The AI was right. Just 3 hours later, the Atlas dropped out of FTL speed as alarms blared through the command center. Ahead of them, 5 alien vessels had appeared, forming a blockade across their path. "They detected our approach," Diana said, strapping herself into the command chair. "They've set a trap." "Correct," the AI responded. "Analyzing enemy configuration and weapons capability now." The alien ships were smaller than the Atlas but moved with incredible coordination. They spread out in a formation that would be difficult to bypass. "They are hailing us," the AI announced, sounding almost surprised. "Put it through," Diana ordered. No visual appeared on the screen, but a sound filled the command center. Not words, but a series of clicks, hums, and electronic tones. That made Diana's skin crawl. "Can you translate?" "Working," the AI replied. "The language structure is unlike anything in my database. However, I detect patterns consistent with a warning or threat." "Show them who we are," Diana said. "Tell them we're defending our people." Before the AI could respond, one of the alien ships fired. A beam of energy unlike anything Diana had ever seen. It struck the Atlas's shields, causing the entire structure to vibrate. "Shield integrity at 93%, the AI reported. "Their weapons are highly advanced but not beyond our defensive capabilities." Diana's training took over. "Return fire, target the lead vessel." The Atlas responded instantly. From multiple points along its hull, energy weapons activated, sending blinding beams toward the alien ship. The effect was devastating. The enemy vessel didn't just take damage, it seemed to fold in on itself before exploding in a silent flash. The remaining 4 alien ships immediately changed formation, moving with even greater coordination. "They're adapting to our attack pattern," the AI noted. "They possess some form of collective intelligence." 2 more energy beams struck the Atlas from different angles, followed by what appeared to be physical projectiles, dark objects that attached themselves to the war machine's hull. "What are those?" Diana asked, pointing to the objects on the external camera feed. "Unknown technology," the AI replied. "They appear to be burrowing into our outer armor." Diana felt a chill run down her spine. "Can they get through?" The Atlas's hull is designed to withstand significant damage. However, these devices are using a form of molecular disassembly I haven't encountered before. Back on New Horizon, the evacuation had turned chaotic. As people rushed toward the spaceport, news spread that the alien presence was expanding rapidly from the farm outpost. The strange transformation had already reached the colony's outer buildings. Frank had organized a defensive line using the colony's limited security forces and volunteers. They had set up barriers and armed themselves with whatever weapons they could find. But he knew it wouldn't be enough. "The first ships are loaded," Olivia reported, joining him at the defensive perimeter. They're preparing for launch now. Frank nodded, looking at the twisted landscape beyond their position. The transformation had altered everything. Soil, plants, even the air seemed different there. And moving through this changed environment were the alien figures, hundreds of them now, approaching slowly but steadily. When those ships launch, the aliens will know we're escaping, Frank said. They'll come for the spaceport next. We need to buy time. Olivia looked at him, suddenly understanding his plan. No. There must be another way. I've lived a full life, he said, checking his weapon. Most of these people haven't had the chance yet. Before she could argue further, the ground trembled beneath them. In the distance, the first evacuation ships were lifting off, their engines roaring as they climbed toward space. As if responding to the sound, the alien advance suddenly accelerated, the dark figures rushing forward with inhuman speed. Go, Frank ordered Olivia. Get to the next ship, make sure they know what we're facing. With tears in her eyes, Olivia turned and ran toward the spaceport. Behind her, Frank and his makeshift defenders raised their weapons as humanity's newest war began with the oldest of actions, sacrifice for the survival of others. The Atlas moved through the debris of 3 destroyed alien ships. Commander Diana Wells watched the remaining 2 enemy vessels retreat into the distance, seemingly to regroup and possibly call for reinforcements. They're stronger than expected, Diana said, examining the damage reports on her console. The Atlas had destroyed 3 enemy ships, but not without cost. Shield strength at 60%, and those things are still attempting to burrow through the outer hull. The AI displayed close-up images of the strange devices attached to the Atlas's exterior. They resembled black metallic spiders, their legs dug deep into the war machine's armor. I am deploying countermeasures, the AI announced. Small hatches opened across the Atlas's hull, releasing what looked like silver liquid. It flowed over, the alien devices encasing them completely. Moments later, the liquid hardened and then shattered, taking the alien technology with it. Nanite defense system, the AI explained, designed to counter unknown technological threats. Diana nodded, impressed despite the dire situation. The Atlas truly was unlike any weapon system humanity had built since. Its creators had prepared for scenarios they couldn't even imagine. How much longer until we reach New Horizon? She asked. 8 hours at full speed, the AI replied. However, our encounter has provided valuable data about the enemy. I suggest we take time to analyze this information before proceeding. Diana hesitated. Every hour mattered for the colony's survival, but rushing in without understanding what they faced could be equally disastrous. Show me what you've learned, she decided. The main screen filled with images and data collected during their battle, the alien ship's structure, their weapon signatures, and most importantly, their behavior patterns. The enemy vessels operate in perfect coordination, the AI began. Their actions suggest a hive mind or collective consciousness. More concerning is their apparent ability to adapt to our attacks. Each time we fired, subsequent enemy maneuvers showed they had analyzed and adjusted to our weapons. So they learn from each encounter, Diana said. Yes. This explains why they sent smaller scout ships first. They sacrificed these advanced units to gather intelligence. The AI paused, then added, there is another observation of significance. Analysis of debris from the destroyed vessels shows biological components integrated with their technology. They're part organic? Correct. The ships themselves appear to be grown rather than built. This matches Frank Donovan's report from New Horizon about the transformative nature of their presence on the planet's surface. Diana considered this information. They're not just invaders, they're colonizers. They transform environments to suit themselves. A logical conclusion, the AI agreed. This also explains their interest in human worlds. We terraform planets to make them habitable for human life. These entities appear to perform a similar process, but more rapidly and more completely. A new alert suddenly appeared on the screen. The Atlas had received a transmission from New Horizon. The first evacuation ships had escaped the planet and were reporting the colony's status. The news was grim. The alien transformation had already consumed nearly a third of the colony. The defensive line had fallen, and Frank Donovan was presumed dead after leading a last stand that allowed hundreds of colonists to escape. The message included visual data showing the colony's transformation. Diana watched in horror as familiar buildings twisted into alien structures. The process wasn't just destruction, it was conversion, as if the very matter of the colony was being reprogrammed at a molecular level. "We need to move faster," she said. "How quickly can we reach them?" "I can increase speed by rerouting power from non-essential systems," the AI replied. "Estimated arrival time, 6 hours. Do it." Meanwhile, aboard one of the evacuation ships from New Horizon, Olivia Reeves sat in the crowded cargo hold, surrounded by frightened colonists. Her eyes were red from crying, but she worked diligently at a portable terminal, compiling everything they had learned about the alien invaders. Frank's sacrifice weighed heavily on her mind. The old admiral had held the line with 30 volunteers, as the alien wave approached, giving the final evacuation ships time to launch. From the ship's cameras, Olivia had watched as the defensive position was overwhelmed. No one could have survived. But Frank's last transmission had contained crucial information. He had discovered a weakness in the alien's transformation process. The conversion slowed dramatically when exposed to certain radiation frequencies, the same frequencies used in the colony's old mining equipment. "Attention all passengers," came the captain's voice over the ship's speakers. "We've detected a large object approaching at high speed from the direction of Earth. Stand by for possible evasive action." Murmurs of fear spread through the cargo. Hold. Had the aliens cut off their escape route? Olivia rushed to the bridge using her communications specialist clearance to gain access. The captain, a woman named Karen Foster, looked up as she entered. "What is it?" Olivia asked. "More aliens." "We don't think so," Karen replied, pointing to the main view screen. "It's broadcasting on Earth frequencies, but it's like nothing I've ever seen." On the screen, a massive shape approached, dwarfing their evacuation vessel. Its design was clearly human, but from an earlier, more aggressive era of space travel. "That's the Atlas," Olivia whispered, recognizing it from old historical records. "Earth sent help." The radio crackled to life. "Evacuation vessel, this is Commander Diana Wells aboard the Earth Defense System Atlas. We are here to assist. Please transmit all information regarding the alien presence." Back aboard the Atlas, Diana received the transmission from the evacuation ships. The data included everything New Horizon had learned about the invaders, now being called the Void. Hegemony by the colonists, including Olivia's compilation of Frank's final discoveries. The radiation weakness could be significant, the AI noted as they processed the information. It suggests their molecular conversion process can be disrupted. Diana nodded. "Can we weaponize this?" "The Atlas's primary weapons can be recalibrated to emit the correct radiation frequency," the AI confirmed. "However, to be effective, we would need to get close to the planet's surface, and that means fighting through whatever alien ships are guarding it," Diana added. As if to answer her concern, the sensors lit up with new alerts. Approaching from the direction of New Horizon were 12 alien vessels, larger than the scouts they had encountered earlier. "They have mobilized their main force," the AI stated. "These appear to be warrior-class ships designed specifically for combat rather than exploration or transformation." Diana took a deep breath, settling into the command chair. "How do our chances look?" "The Atlas was designed to face overwhelming odds," the AI replied. "However, these entities possess technology that rivals our own. Victory is not assured." "It never is," Diana said. "Prepare all weapon systems. Priority is getting to the planet's surface to help any remaining colonists." As the alien fleet approached, Diana opened a channel to the evacuation ships. "All civilian vessels, clear the area immediately. Proceed to the Centauri system and warn them what's coming. We'll hold the line here." On the lead evacuation ship, Olivia watched the Atlas position itself between their vessels and the oncoming alien fleet. It was an awesome and terrifying sight. Humanity's darkest creation facing an enemy beyond imagination. "Will it be enough?" Karen asked quietly. Olivia thought of Frank, of his unwavering belief that humanity would survive this threat. It has to be. The first shots fired across the void of space. Brilliant energy beams connecting the Atlas and the lead alien vessels. The battle for New Horizon, and perhaps for humanity's future, had begun. The Atlas moved with surprising agility for its size, its weapons striking with devastating precision. 3 alien ships were destroyed in the opening salvo, but the remaining 9 adjusted their approach, spreading out to surround the war machine. Diana gripped her chair as the Atlas shuddered under multiple impacts. Status? Shields at 40%, the AI reported. Enemy vessels are concentrating fire on our propulsion systems. They're trying to trap us here, Diana realized. They don't want us reaching the planet. Which suggests there is something there they do not want us to see, the AI added. Diana made a split-second decision. Change of plans. Priority now is breaking through to the planet. Use everything we've got. The Atlas's weapon ports glowed with energy as the war machine prepared to unleash its full arsenal. Whatever waited on New Horizon's surface, Diana was determined to find it, even if the Atlas had to tear through an alien fleet to get there. The Atlas plunged toward New Horizon's surface, trailing fire and debris. 5 alien ships had been destroyed in the fierce battle above the planet, but the war machine had paid a heavy price. Its once gleaming hull was now scorched and torn in multiple places. 2 of its main weapon systems were offline, and its shields flickered weakly at 30% power. Inside the command center, Commander Diana Wells wiped blood from a cut on her forehead. The last attack had thrown her from her chair before. The internal safety systems could compensate. "Damage report," she called out, pulling herself back to the command station. "Multiple hull breaches on lower decks," the AI responded. "Self-repair systems engaged but operating at reduced capacity. Main propulsion damaged but functional. Weapons at 60%. Diana looked at the tactical display. 4 alien ships were still in pursuit as they entered the atmosphere, while 3 more maintained position in orbit. "They really don't want us reaching the surface," she muttered. "Why?" The answer began to take shape as they descended through the clouds. The Atlas's sensors showed a changed landscape below. What had once been New Horizon Colony was now a sprawling alien structure, black and twisted, spreading outward from the original settlement like a stain. But at the center of this transformation was something unexpected. A massive tower rising high above the converted landscape. "It appears to be a communication array," the AI noted. "Extremely powerful, it is, broadcasting toward a specific point in deep space. They're calling for something," Diana realized. New Horizon isn't just a target for conversion, it's a beacon. A sudden impact rocked the Atlas as one of the pursuing alien ships scored a direct hit on their rear section. Warning lights flashed across the command center. "Shield failure in Sector 7, the AI announced. "Enemy vessels closing." Diana made a quick decision. "Divert all power to weapons. Target that tower." "Without shields, we will sustain significant damage," the AI warned. "We need to stop whatever they're calling," Diana insisted. "Everything else is secondary." The Atlas's remaining weapons came online, power surging through its systems as shields dropped completely. The war machine banked sharply, bringing its main cannons to bear on the alien tower below. As the weapons charged, the pursuing alien vessels redoubled their attacks, desperate to stop the Atlas. Impacts shuddered through the hull, systems failed across multiple decks, but Diana held firm. "Fire," she ordered. Brilliant energy beams lanced from the Atlas, striking the alien tower with devastating force. The structure shuddered, its surface cracking as the specially calibrated radiation tore through its molecular structure. On one of the evacuation ships now safely distant from New Horizon, Olivia Reeves watched the battle through the vessel's long-range sensors. The other refugees crowded around view screens watching as humanity's last war machine fought against impossible odds. "It's going to destroy the tower," someone said. "But those alien ships are tearing it apart." Olivia remembered Frank's final words before she boarded the evacuation ship. "Sometimes victory requires sacrifice." She wondered if Diana Wells understood this as well as Frank had. Back in New Horizons' atmosphere, the Atlas continued its assault on the tower despite taking heavy damage. Two of the pursuing ships had pulled alongside, attaching themselves to the war machine's hull like parasites, their surfaces melding with the Atlas's armor. Inside, Diana felt the deck lurch beneath her as sections of the command center began to change, black tendrils creeping across surfaces where the alien ships had made contact. The hull is being compromised, the AI reported. They are attempting to convert the Atlas itself. Diana watched in horror as the alien material spread across a nearby wall. Can we stop it? The Atlas was designed with internal defenses against boarding and capture, the AI replied. However, this form of molecular conversion was not anticipated. The tower below was visibly failing now, large sections collapsing as the Atlas's weapons continued their assault. But the war machine was failing too, its systems shutting down one by one as the alien conversion spread. Commander, the AI said, its voice somehow softer than before, I have analyzed all available options. There's only one course of action that ensures the tower's destruction. Diana understood immediately. The Omega Protocol? Yes. Converting the Atlas's entire mass into energy would create a radiation pulse matching the frequency that disrupts their molecular transformation. It would destroy the tower and potentially reverse conversion processes across the planet's surface. But the Atlas would be destroyed, Diana said. And everyone on board. Correct. Diana looked at the spread of black material, now covering nearly a third of the command center. Soon it would reach her. Soon the Atlas itself would become a weapon for the enemy. There's no way to eject? No escape pods? All escape systems are now compromised, the AI confirmed. I'm sorry, Commander. Diana closed her eyes briefly. She thought of Earth, of the other colonies, of all the people who would face this threat if she failed. How long would the Omega Protocol take to activate? 90 seconds from authorization. The process cannot be aborted once initiated. Diana took a deep breath. Then there's time to try one more thing. She opened a communication channel to all frequencies. This is Commander Diana Wells of the Earth Defense System Atlas to the alien presence on New Horizon. We propose communication before mutual destruction. To her surprise, the advancing black material paused its spread. The command center screens flickered, then showed a strange, shifting image, something almost humanoid but clearly alien, its features constantly flowing and changing. A series of sounds came through the speakers, clicks and hums similar to what she had heard before. I am attempting translation, the AI said. After a moment, broken words formed. Why, fight, we, survive, must, expand. You're destroying our worlds, Diana replied. Killing our people. No choice. Our home. Dying. Long journey. Need. New worlds. Understanding dawned on Diana. You're refugees. Your star system is failing. Yes, no choice, Diana thought quickly. The Omega Protocol timer was ready to activate, but this changed everything. These weren't mindless destroyers. They were desperate survivors, much like the people fleeing New Horizon. There are uninhabited worlds in this sector, she said. Planets we've surveyed but not settled. You don't need to take our homes. There was a long pause. The black material remained still. Show these worlds. Diana nodded to the AI, who displayed star charts of nearby systems with habitable but unsettled planets. We can coexist, Diana continued. Find a solution that doesn't require either of us to destroy the other. Minutes passed in tense silence. The alien ships remained attached to the Atlas, but the conversion process had stopped completely. Finally, more broken words came. Will, consider, need, time. We'll need proof of your intentions, Diana insisted. Withdraw from New Horizon. Stop the transformation. The alien presence seemed to consider this. Then slowly, the black material began to recede from the command center walls. Outside, the alien ships detached from the Atlas's hull, pulling away to a safe distance. Below, the tower stopped its broadcast. Hours later, Olivia Reeves stood in stunned silence as the evacuation ship received a transmission from the Atlas. Commander Diana Wells was alive, the war machine damaged but functional, and the aliens, now calling themselves the Void Travelers, had agreed to preliminary discussions. "They're actually negotiating," Captain Karen said in disbelief. Olivia thought of Frank, of his sacrifice that had discovered the radiation weakness, a discovery that had led not just to a weapon, but to a bargaining chip, to communication, to understanding. "What happens now?" someone asked. Olivia looked at the image of the Atlas hovering above the partially transformed colony. "Now we learn whether peace is truly possible, or if this is just a pause before the real war begins." The SOS that had echoed across the stars had awakened more than Earth's last war titan. It had awakened the possibility that even the most alien of enemies might find common ground if both sides were brave enough to seek it.